The Sharq Edges system's been around for close to 30 years in Scandinavia. They have much the same conditions that we do in Canada, with gravel roads and hard ice pack.
It's not just a grinding edge or a grading blade. It's a cutting edge that you cut through ice and compact snow, as well as on gravel roads, you cut through pothole and washboards.
The Sharq Edges system is a complete toolbox of cutting edges that allows you to change as conditions change through all seasons, summer and winter, on the road without going back to the shop and without the use of an air impact gun.
It's a special quick mount system. You have a toolbox. Instead of crawling underneath the grader, you swing it out to the side, and then you work a lot safer. You don't have to lay down and crawl underneath the machine. You take the regular blades off, you put the mounting board on, you bolt it into where the regular cutting edge is mounted. That's actually sifting up the moldboard and protecting the moldboard for getting damaged.
It's not uncommon that an operator will wear right through the cutting edge and into the moldboard. With the Sharq Edges system, that adapter is an extra layer of protection.
The mounting board stays on the moldboard all the time. Then you can go in between the different blades. Then you have the wedge bolt. You hold in by a washer and a regular plow bolt.
Next thing is to hang on your P300, Stinger, flats, whatever you're using for your conditions.
Also with the blades, we leave them 2 inches below the mounting board.
The wedge has 2 different sides. There's a round side and a flat side. The flat side has to always be up against the edge you're putting on to get a secure, tight fit through the wedge bolt. It's important to use a blacksmith's hammer with a square face and a wedge end. The square face is a lot easier to use when installing the wedges. The wedge end is important to use for proper striking and effective removal of the wedges.
So a proper hammer is actually needed, including use the wedge tool for safety as well.
Having the ability to change the blades out on site and not have to go back to the shop. Within 15 minutes, I've got my blades swapped around and I'm back in business again and back on the road. Whereas before I would lose an hour, hour and a half.
Some even have harnessed the edges right onto their grader in a safe manner so that if they're running down a blade, they don't have to come back to the shop. They simply can pull over, put on a new set, and away they go.
With the Sharq Edges system, it allows you to adapt to changing road conditions. You may want to change your edges for different purposes.
You actually choose the right blade for the road. So we start with the P300, who was developed from the beginning. It was developed for cutting ice and snow. And it really cuts ice and snow. And that sounds maybe scary sometimes they're going to cut, because we use them on asphalt and for gravel roads. But we don't have any down pressure. We don't do any damage to the asphalt.
By allowing us to have a blade that'll cut the ice and groove the ice, but also not damage asphalt, that was a huge benefit in the winter months.
If you use a standard set of blades versus the P300s, you're going to get a glazing effect from the blades, whereas the P300s will basically rake the ice. You'll find vehicles won't slide around quite as easy.
Because it's perforated, you end up leaving a textured surface on the road, which increases road safety and decreases the amount of stopping distance needed by vehicles. It's more effective because the salt and sand, the material you put down, stays on the road. It does not blow away with the wind, and it won't get blown off the road with traffic.
When you do the scarification with the P300, you disturb everything, so as soon as you salt, it actually reacts right away. So you use a lot less of sand and a lot less of salt. So it's more cost effective and more productive. Then the same blade, as we've seen, that can be used also in the summertime to cut down potholes and washboards.
Some roads that were chronic washboards, where we used a P300 to cut aggressive, mix the material, reshape it, and compact that road, we've seen anywhere from 6 to 7 weeks to not come back to that road anymore, and that is 100% attributed to the P300 after years of trying with regular flat steel edges.
These blades will cut to the bottom of these potholes that are created, whereas a heavier set of blades will not. You have to fight with the machine or go over it multiple times in order to achieve the same goal.
Lots of blades today on the market, it would be in 320 to 480 Brunel, and we are up 500 and 550. Means we can go thinner blade, it's sharper and makes a longer wear life.
The P300 blade is fully adjustable. If you have crowning in the road, you can adjust the blades from side to side to compensate. You get a more efficient use out of your steel. You can wear it down to around 3 inches as compared to a standard edge where you're throwing away up to about 40% of it.
And on top of that, we also developed a new blade we call Ram. It's thicker for wear life.
They don't have to get out and shift the blades as often, and the cutting power is there similar to the thinner edges.
In the same family, you have the flat blade. Some customers refer to the old blade, they are flat, and that's what they want.
So in the springtime when I'm pulling shoulders, if I get into a situation where I've got sod to pull, then I like to use the straight edge blades, because you get that smooth transition from the point to the heel of your blade. Then I'll switch back over once my shoulders are pulled.
Now you have a flat blade that's still thin, that can still cut. Then we have the Viking serrated ones. Many guys like that in the wintertime. And we also have the stinger boards.
The effectiveness of the Sharq Edges system comes both from the blade you're using as well as the technique. It's very important to stress with the operator that they learn the technique of rolling the blade back, sharpening up that edge at a 55-degree angle, and as they wear that, rotate that edge forward so that you keep running on that sharp knife edge to give you the most effective cut. It's self-drafting. When you get underneath the material, whether it's hard-packed ice or whether it's gravel, you get underneath and that drafts by pulling you down.
It's a mindset. You got to get yourself used to these type of blades. You have to let these blades do the work for you and not stand on the hydraulics, which I used to have to do with straight edge blades.
Actually, with lesser down pressure, lesser resistance for the machine, easier to run. The comfort in the cab is more forgiving when you hit some rocks or manhole, as well as tire wear, a lot lesser overall maintenance on the grader. You run on low RPM, so that's a big savings in fuel.
Fuel consumption is big. We have 10 machines in our county, and they're all identical. The one grader would use probably about 200 to 240 liters per day. When I have these P300s, I'll go through about 140 to 160 liters per day. To a contractor, that's a big saving. So why wouldn't you go that way?
We've noticed a dramatic drop of 500 revolutions per minute on the machine simply because you don't have to work the machine to cut to the bottom of the washboard.
My productivity has increased probably a third more than what I used to.
Changing edges from one to the next is easily accomplished with one person. The Sharq Edges, with their thinner profile and tougher steel, get the same amount of wear life, but you can achieve that with a lighter blade.
On an average, I'm getting 100 hours out of a set of these P300s. I would get a day to a week out of a set of straight.
When you're getting 4 times the wear for a 50% increase in the cost, there's the cost savings. We can run it on all surfaces of roads. It'll cut through ice on a paved road where a plow truck can't, and it'll also cut through and maintain a gravel road without having to return to the shed and change edges.
It just makes my job much easier. At the end of the day, saving fuel for the company and better results. As far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm running a grader, I'll never switch back.